talking about LLMs in general, I obviously ChatGPT was a seminal moment. I love it and I use it all day, not all day. I use it every day for my work, different things. But I kind of go back and forth on whether it's actually going to still be not ChatGPT but LLMs. They have this problem of hallucination. Everybody knows that they've seen it. And so people try to solve that hallucination problem. Maybe they do retrieval augmented generation and they feed in things that are more relevant to try to cut down on the number of hallucinations, or they do fine tuning and they try to use that to cut down on the number of hallucinations. But they can't ever get rid of it. And so I'm wondering if that's a fatal flaw in the whole idea of LLMs that will make it so that 10 years from now, we just give up and say, we never found a way to totally get rid of hallucinations. And this is like in my mind because all last night, all my social media feed, my friends that are in Discord, I'm in like a group chat in Discord, was just nothing but funny things that people found searching in Google with Google's new AI assistant box that comes back. I'm sure you've seen some of them too, but like asking Google, how many rocks should I eat every day? And Google says you should eat a few rocks every day because they're a good source of minerals. Yeah. Or, and some that are just really, obviously that's a bad answer and bad, or poisonous mushroom. And it identifies it as an edible, button mushroom. And someone says, yeah, if you ate this, well, when they do your autopsy, your liver would be liquefied. Like really funny stuff, or like, has the United States ever had a Muslim president? And it says, yeah, Barack Obama was the first Muslim president. And this is like Google posting these answers, right? Really things that could be kind of dangerous in certain ways, right? So, I mean, certainly, like misidentifying a mushroom would be very dangerous. And some are just funny. It was like, how do I cure a kidney stone? And Google said, well, you need to make sure you drink 2 pints of urine every day. Right? It's like, that's not right. Yeah, someone shipped that product, but like, those are funny, and we joke about them, but I'm just wondering, like, are we ever going to solve this problem? And if not, does that mean they're just going to go away?
Yeah, so, I mean, what makes the question difficult is that with what we mean with hallucination, right, in the context of the LLM, is the prediction of a token goes off the rails and then keeps predicting other stuff, right? So in the old models, one of the things that you saw is that at some point it started to repeat itself. And there was like this eerie thing that was like, oh, this is kind of weird, right? So the language that it now generates is like it's a coherent sentence, right? So the information that's being shared in is incorrect, but it's incoherent.
Yeah, the structure of the sentence is right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think with all the examples that you just gave, we can, based on our intuition, we can kind of understand where it's coming from, right? So I remember that one of the examples that I saw that had to do with like pizza, that you could glue something. If it was like non-toxic glue, you could, stuff to your pizza or something. Okay. There was an answer. And then somebody traced that back actually to a Reddit answer somewhere where that was obviously in the context. That was like it was a joke.
Yeah.
Right. But it's like and it was interpreted. And that goes for a lot of these kind of solutions. I'm really not too concerned that will be solved. Right. So
you think it for sure will be solved?
Yes, because all the examples that you give in the Google example is like just RAG at scale, right? And then we're now dealing with the complexities of that the information is incorrect, or like that this in this case was like humorous.
But how is Google supposed to know whether it's correct or incorrect? I guess is the question. Because like, let's say in that question about Obama, they linked to this, the page that they got the answer from, and it was an Oxford academic page, but it was a book. It was the chapter title of a book. As I dove into this because I was curious what happened. It was a chapter of a title, Oxford Academic Press, Barack Hussein Obama, America's first Muslim president, ? And so Google read it and said, oh, he must be. They missed the question mark, right? Sure. But there's a lot of lies on the internet. There's lies all over the place.
Sure. And so then the interesting question becomes like, did the model hallucinate, or was it fed misinformation to get to this answer, right? So what I'm trying to get to here is like, we have hallucination in the form that it predicts a token after token after token where the model was incorrect, right? So that it just goes off the rails, right? Or it has incorrect information on which it's basing the answer. So the example that you gave, so probably somewhere they said like, well, they might be using some kind of like Google's ranking system to say Oxford Press is a trusted source. Maybe in the data cleaning they cut off, and I make this up on the spot, but maybe on the data cleaning they cut off certain.
They might have cut off the question mark.
The question mark.
Yeah, exactly.
So in that case, the model actually from a purely technical perspective, the model presented the right answer. It was just the information that was fed was incorrect, right? So that will be solved.
But solved how?
Well, just by, I mean, you remember like in the early days of Google search, right? That I remember that one trick in the book if to, was that you took a page and in the same color as the background
Oh
of
yeah,
the
yeah.
page,
Use the same token over and over again. Yeah.
that you used the same token and then you scored higher. That was solved, right? So this kind of stuff, it's a data management problem, right? How the models deal with that information. I just cannot see how it will not be solved, right? So that goes back to our earlier conversation of the how you can think about certain things. And then yes, there are some gaps here in our thing like how it will be, but I would be highly surprised if it doesn't get solved. The thing with Google just is like it's just immediately at this huge scale, right? And what's actually funny is the feedback loop that emerges, and I love that actually that humor is being used to create it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, when was the last time that we seen a product innovation in the front end of Google search? That was like a long time ago, which I understand because it's the cash cow, you know, when they kill the cash cow. But now with everything that's happening, all of a sudden that front end is changing, right?
Yeah, it's a big change.
It's a big change, but they have to. And now with that feedback, oh boy, they're gonna do anything they can to make it better, right? Yeah. That's fantastic to live through that and to work on that. So my point is, I really believe that we are past the point of good enough in the models themselves, and these kind of things will be resolved with how the information is fed to the model. And you know, these issues will emerge, will keep emerging, but they also will be resolved till we get to a point where we go like, okay, you know, it's like what I meant, like with the example with SEO, right? So it's like it's very similar. It's just a different way how you present the information to the systems.